Live and local. Live and local.
This is SacTown Sports.
The Niners taking on the Green Bay Packers in Santa Clara. And, at first it was, all right, the Niners are going to blow out the Packers. And it's still like that for me. But a lot of people are starting to say, hey, Packers are that hot team. And we do this every year, right? Because somebody's got to win the wild card game. And whoever wins the wild card game then gets the momentum headed into play the team that didn't have to play the wild card game because they've been better than those teams all season long. And we are joined by our guy, friend of the station, Brad Graham of SFNiners, YouTube, Twitter. It's everywhere you need it. Social media, Instagram, everywhere you need it. Brad's got it. Brad, thank you for joining us.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me. And I'm really excited about seeing this red hot Packers team come into Levi's Stadium. I don't know if you guys saw it. Nick Wagner put out of ESPN that it's about 97% projected 49er fans. Hey, 49er fans, get up for this team. And I'm really excited to see how the Packers hold up against the red and gold faithful.
Yeah, before we even get to the X's and O's, and I know you might not be too objective here, but even starting off from the beginning of the season with the Steelers, that's Pittsburgh, that's blue collar. We are a football town. The Niners take over everywhere they go. Are they kind of low key the strongest fan base in the NFL?
Oh, I think so, 100%. I mean, I went to the Rams game week 2 at SoFi Stadium, or better known by the fan base as Levi's South.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. It had to be 90% 49er fans. And I've been kind of talking about this on my channels and stuff like this, but it's like, I think we are having a momentum shift. We understand the Cowboys are considered the America's team, but
right.
I mean, when you look at the 49er faithful and how broad they are nationally, even worldwide, you go back to last year's game in Mexico City, 49er fans are everywhere. Hey, maybe, the Cowboys can hold on to that moniker, but if the 49ers win a Super Bowl, I think we might have to have a conversation.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. And like you said, even, Cowboys, like last year in the playoffs, when they showed up at Jerry World, it was insane. And yeah, I mean, the Niners definitely have a massive, massive fan base, but Packers definitely do too. And that's definitely that Wagner tweet out yesterday was just crazy to see. Another thing that I was really surprised to see yesterday come out, Trent Williams saying he's 100% coming back for next year. What were your thoughts on that? Did that surprise you, just mainly the timing of it, for him to come out early and say, doesn't really matter if we win a Super Bowl or not this year, he's coming back? How good is that to hear, and how surprising was that?
I mean, for me personally, as a former offensive lineman and an O-line connoisseur, Trent Williams to me is the best offensive lineman to ever play. And the fact that he plays for the San Francisco 49ers is just another added element to it. And I would be lying to you if I said I didn't have any doubt about him returning next year. I do think there was some questions, especially with how he ended his press conference after last season, kind of bringing it up like, I'm getting to that age where maybe retirement is something that you start to think about. The fact that he squashed that, put that to bed, said he's 100% returning next year, regardless if the 49ers win the ultimate prize or they fall short, he will be back next season. And that is absolutely huge because, like I said, not only is he the best offensive lineman playing in the NFL today, I think he's the best offensive lineman to ever play. Just how he is changing the game from a technical aspect of playing O-line like a defensive lineman, using games with his hands, manipulating defenders by baiting them into certain things. It's phenomenal. We already know he's athletically superior over every other offensive lineman, but he's the smartest offensive lineman on top of that. So the fact that he's returning next year, huge sigh of relief for me, and I'm sure many 49er fans when they heard that as well.
talking to Brad Graham of the SFNiners. Find him on YouTube, find him on X, Twitter, social media, Instagram, everywhere to get your Niners needs. Great content, one of the biggest Niners platforms going right now. All right, we gave you enough time, Brad. It's time to have the conversation. We know you can't go more than, 5 minutes without talking about Brock Purdy. We're hearing some crazy talk. And look, Brad, I know we follow each other on social media. Where I stand with Brock is I do feel like some of the Niner fans are holding on to this underdog thing for a little bit too long. Brock got his respect. He was an MVP candidate for a little bit here. And I get on Niner fans because everybody just loves to be the underdog. But then I see what people are saying from Packer fans to Amy Trask and just not giving Brock his flowers. And I got to walk it back and I got to apologize to Niner fans to say, all right, maybe there's still some people out there. I'm not counting the Nick Wrights of the world, but maybe there are some people still out there not realizing what Brock is doing and what he brings to the table. Where would you can either rank him amongst the other QBs or just give us your take on Brock Purdy heading into his second playoff run?
I think what Brock Purdy has done in basically a season and a half has been absolutely remarkable. And I don't think there's any discrediting what Brock Purdy has done. Now, if you're looking at this from an outside perception, I can totally understand if you're not watching every single play of Brock Purdy and you look at the weapons that he has, the George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Steve, you can make that assumption. Well, it's like, oh, he's playing with Kyle Shanahan. He's getting a lot of help. But I think, if I speak for myself, who is someone who studies the tape, I've watched every single play of Brock Purdy throughout his career. He does the small things so exceptionally well that it almost gets glossed over. You talk about his presence in the pocket, his ability to sidestep pressure, create enough space, and find a passing lane, and also manipulate coverages with his eyes. Brock Purdy does all the small things to elevate the offense and elevate the players around him. I mean, look at Brandon Ayuk. He is a second-team All-Pro player. And he almost reached 1,400 receiving yards this season. What a remarkable feat in an offense that has all of those players and is one of the lowest ranked passing attempt, per game offenses in the league. And so I understand from an outside perspective, but I think if you actually watch Brock play, I think it's easy to put him in that top 10 category. I think when you look at everything he's been able to do, the way he escapes pressure, the way he reads defenses pre and post. I mean, you look at that one play against the Commanders where he's scrambling out, he's pointing to Brandon Ayuk in the back of the end zone, and he hits him on a dime. You can't look at those things and say that's a system quarterback. That's it. He's making plays outside of structure consistently, but he's also playing within structure at an extremely high level. So I can understand the outside perspective. We heard from that Green Bay's Packer defender, oh, well, if you get pressure on Brock Purdy, guaranteed to get an interception. Well, Brock Purdy happens to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this year when pressured. So if you watch the tape, and again, I would imagine he's watched some tape and he's looked at it, but if you're studying this thing and you're really watching Brock play, he is a baller. And not only is he a baller, but he's elevating his players, he's elevating the scheme, and it's a perfect fit for what Kyle Shanahan requires of his scheme. And that's why it's just a match made in heaven right now.
Brad, yeah, I mean, you mentioned Kyle Shanahan there, and I'm sorry I have to ask this question, but I feel like I do. Kyle's got this history that's followed him of really just overthinking game plans, more so in the bigger games. I don't think it's really a concern for a week like this or maybe even next week, but I mean, more specifically in the big one, Kyle's kind of gotten a bad rap of maybe over game planning or overthinking the game plan. Do you still think Kyle has that in him, or has he gone through enough now to where even he understands like you can maybe put too much work into this?
I think before Brock Purdy was around, I think Kyle was trying to overcompensate for maybe his previous quarterbacks, maybe lack of ability to do certain things within his scheme.
Sure.
And so it would kind of force him to press a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. But I really do think that Kyle has evolved this season. And I do think in part due to having a quarterback that he fully trusts. And I think that combination is allowing him to be more aggressive. I think we've seen him go for it on fourth down on more occasions this season than in years past. And I think he's putting the ball in his quarterback's hands to be able to make the decisions on the field. And I think that's allowing Kyle to call games more freely and be able to handle situations a little bit more organically, if that makes sense, like opposed to being so rigid in certain beliefs and certain down and distances and what have you. I think there's a freedom that having a quarterback like Brock and obviously a supporting cast that allows him to be more creative and be more aggressive. And I do think that he has made big steps forward this season and certain down and distances and the way he's calling certain things. So I understand definitely how he's handled some situations in the past, but I do feel like we have seen an evolution to Kyle this year. And I think that's been one of my favorite developments of this season.
Yeah, I think a couple players have talked about the growth of Kyle Shanahan as a head coach and how he's been handling the team. So it's just growth all around, which is good for the Niners. Talking to Brad Graham of the SFNiners. Find him on YouTube. Subscribe to him. Follow him. If you're not doing that and you're a Niners fan, I don't know what exactly it is you are doing. All right, Brad, let's get to the Packers side of things. Obviously, I think the line is still 8. I don't think it's moved anymore. It was 9.5 when they finished off the Cowboys, even though Kyle Shanahan was already preparing in the second quarter. What about the Packers does worry you when it comes to them facing off against the Niners?
I think if we have to discuss what potentially worries me, I think you have to look at the fact that they have a pretty dynamic quarterback right now in Jordan Love. And, as we've seen, even this year, you saw what Joe Burrow did to the San Francisco 49ers defense, his ability to escape the pocket and make throws outside of structure or buying just extra time. I think if you've been a 49er fan for a while, you're kind of you have this predetermined notion that mobile quarterbacks are kind of like our Achilles heel based on how the past has gone. And so when you look at a guy like Jordan Love, who has all the arm talent in the world, he has the ability to do things that, like, let's say a Brock Purdy can't do just simply because Jordan has phenomenal arm talent.
Yeah, Brad, some of those throws, it looked like he was studying Aaron Rodgers' tape. I mean, the flat footed, he's not even supposed to do stuff like that.
He did like a 180 hip flip mid-air,
crazy.
dime 30 yards downfield up the seam. I'm like, who is this guy?
Right.
So those are the things I think that would worry me is that we understand that if the 49ers defensive line isn't generating pressure within those first 2 seconds, that's where other quarterbacks with immense arm talent can find some holes within our defense. So that's really the only concern, but that puts a huge emphasis on your Nick Bosa's, Javon Hargrave. They get Eric Armstead back, which is such a huge get for that defensive line. And Chase Young, if you can create pressure rushing 4 on Jordan Love, I think that is going to be a huge emphasis on how you can slow down this offense, because when we saw them against the Cowboys, I mean, Love was playing out of his mind. The offense was playing great. Aaron Jones was feeding off of it with his 3 touchdowns. And when they get into that rhythm, that's where teams can be dangerous. And I think where the 49ers need to insert
is that
rhythm. Being able to get after Jordan Love and move him off his spot, mess up his timing, and all those different types of things.
Right. Yeah. We're talking with Brad Graham of the SFNiners. Brad, on top of the Jordan Love conversation there, I know Alan kind of asked you a little bit about it, but I'm gonna make you give the list. You can leave Brock out of it, but just the other NFC quarterbacks. I mean, where would you rank them right now with Goff, Mayfield, and Jordan Love? Do you feel like the Niners are playing the best quarterback in the NFC, not named Brock Purdy right now?
I think Baker Mayfield has been playing phenomenal ball this year.
Absolutely.
But I do think that if you have Jared Goff in a clean pocket in front of his, probably the best offensive line in football, he can make you pay. And I'm a Cal fan, so I watched all of Jared Goff's career. I know who Jared Goff is, and I know how deadly he can be, but I also know you can affect him with pressure. So then you kind of translate that into Jordan Love. Jordan Love's kind of an unknown in a sense. Like I'm still kind of scouting him and still trying to learn his tendencies. And so I would say it might have to be, it's really close. Goff, Love, Baker. But just because I know more about Goff and Love, this is his first season. They're playing with house money. They have nothing to lose. They're super hot right now. It'll be interesting to see what happens when he has Nick Bosa breathing down his neck and see how he reacts in these situations. This is going to be, he passed the test against the Cowboys. Now, let's see if he can do it against the 49ers.
Talking to Brad Graham of the SFNiners. Subscribe to his YouTube. Follow him on social media. Brad, from the beginning of the season, I think a lot of us thought that this Niners team was fully loaded, right? Offensive, defensive. The problem here now, and it's not just Moody, the special teams, it reminds me of that meme. I don't know if you've seen it, with the 3 dragons and the 2 dragons look like they know what they're doing, and the 3rd dragon is kind of looking off into the other direction. How worried are you about the special teams of the San Francisco 49ers?
That is a phenomenal visual. I know exactly what you're talking about. I think you might have hit it on the head. I think, when you look at Moody's year as a whole, I think you can say he played pretty well. You look at the Browns game, and then you look at that last game against the Rams, and that's kind of why we're all kind of concerned about Jake Moody's, because he missed a field goal and missed a PAT directly after. And I think our concerns with Jake Moody heading into the season were never ability-based. It was kind of confidence-based.
Right.
And I think when you look at the kicker position, you look at pressure-packed situations, whether it's quarterback, whether it's a kicker's up there, man, because they get put in those situations where they got one job, and it's to kick a field goal and make points for your team, and half the time it comes in big time situations. So is there a level of concern there? Yes, but I do think, again, if your 49ers offense is doing what we think they should do against this Packers defense, I don't think Moody will have to be put into those situations where we necessarily have to rely on him. But we know what it is. It's the playoffs. Any given Sunday, anything can happen. And who knows if this game comes down to a 45-yard field goal to tie or win it. I know 49er fans are going to be sweating, but I do believe that Jake Moody has the ability. It's just, can he lock in for that moment and get the job done?
Yeah, Brad, last week we were talking about, the departure of Adam Peters, and just kind of how it's another name added to the list of really important Niner personnel that have left, whether it be Robert Saleh, D'Amico Ryans, you have Rand Carthon even, and McDaniel over in Miami. How much does the Adam Peters departure worry you, and how much more, vulturing really can the Niners take?
I had great respect for Adam Peters as the assistant general manager for the 49ers and what he's done, because from my understanding of his role within the organization was big emphasis in the draft and really being able to identify and hit on late round draft prospects. I mean, you look at Talanoa Hufanga, 5th round pick, turning into an all-pro. George Kittle, Dre Greenlaw. You can throw Brock Purdy into that mix. I mean, Fred Warner's the best linebacker in the NFL, and he's a former 3rd-round draft pick. The 49ers have found a ton of success, not only in the late round of the draft, but in free agency, man. Like, you look at Emmanuel Mosley and what they were able to get out of him with his time with the San Francisco 49ers, being able to hit on guys like Elijah Mitchell, who is a really good back when healthy and available, Jordan Mason, et cetera. And the list goes on and on, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how the 49ers overcome that. But I do believe organizationally they're structured properly to be able to have someone waiting in the wings to kind of take over that role. And from everything that I've learned and have heard about the inner workings of that part of the organization, they're very collaborative. So I'm going to miss Adam Peters and what he brought to this franchise, but I also do believe because of the collaborative structure, they'll be able to pick up the pieces and they'll be able to continue the similar thought processes and evaluations and key points that he was able to hit on, and they will continue that process moving forward.
Brad Graham of the SFNiners. If you're not following him on all the social media platforms and YouTube, you are not doing your fandom right. Brad, before we get you out of here, we do something for the Kings. It's called Dog of the Game, right? And it's where we pick whoever we think is going to be a dog in that game. So we're going to do an SFNiners version, a San Francisco Niners version. Who do you think is going to ball out on Sunday? You can pick anybody. Or Saturday. You can pick anybody for their dog of the game. Who do you got for the Niners?
Well, as I'm looking at the Packers' 28th ranked rush defense, I'm going to have to go with one of the biggest dogs on the San Francisco 49ers, and that's Christian McCaffrey, man. Yeah. You get a healthy Christian McCaffrey who hasn't taken a hit in almost a month. Get some fresh legs in there, and I mean, I can see him right over your right shoulder there. If you're watching on YouTube,
that's right. That's right.
I think CMC is going to be that dog, right? Like he's going to be that guy that the 49ers are going to be able to lean on in this game. The weather might be a factor, and if that is the case, put the ball in CMC's hands and let the dogs eat.
There you go, Brad Graham of the SFNiners. Brad, thank you so much. Let's do this again, man. This is great. Like I said, follow Brad Graham on all social media platforms. If you're not following him, subscribe to him on YouTube. You better figure it out and do it right now. Brad Graham, thank you so much. We'll talk to you again. Have a good rest of your week.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
all right,
Brad.
Got to get to a break. When we get back, we will not only rank the NFC quarterbacks, we will rank the AFC quarterbacks. And a little bit later in the show, we'll get back into some Kings talk as they get ready to take on the Pacers. Styles and Watkins, SacTown Sports.
Sunday on SacTown Sports, 2 more teams will punch their tickets to the conference championships. The Detroit Lions get another home game as they host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then it's Mahomes versus Allen as the Chiefs battle the Bills in Buffalo.
Bucs and Lions Sunday at noon, followed by Chiefs and Bills at 3:30.
Get all your NFL playoff action on your home of Super Bowl 58. SacTown Sports and SacTownSports.com.
SacTown Sports is home to the Kings, Niners, and now the business of sports. Hosted by Kelly Brothers and brought to you by Cap Trust, offering customized, independent financial advice at captrust.com. Join Kelly Brothers, Carmichael, Dave, and Jason as they look at the business of sports every Thursday at 7:40 a.m. You want to know how sports really work? Follow the money with Kelly Brothers from Cap Trust on SacTown Sports.
California's largest sportsman's expo is back Thursday through Sunday at Cal Expo. Bring the family and discover your next adventure. Buy the latest gear, find the best destinations, learn from the experts in fishing and hunting. On the weekend, visit the Giant Youth Fair. Free entry for youth 15 and under. Your life outdoors at the International Sportsman's Expo, Thursday through Sunday at Cal Expo in Sacramento. More info at sportsexpos.com.
The divisional round of the NFL playoffs continues Saturday on SacTown Sports. First, it's the AFC's top seed Baltimore Ravens as they look to back up the league's best record when they host the upstart Houston Texans.
Then the 49ers start their postseason as they host the Green Bay Packers. Texans and Ravens at 1:30, Packers and 49ers at 5:15.
The NFL playoffs right here on your home for Super Bowl 58, SacTown Sports.
Hey everybody, it's Kyle Draper, your boy Drapes for Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. Now, if you've been on the fence about buying your first electric luxury car, it's time to get off the fence and go see my friends at Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. I'm challenging you. Test drive any Mercedes-Benz fully electric car or SUV and you will fall in love. In fact, my new Mercedes-Benz EQS SUV is out in the parking lot right now. You know, I had a Tesla before this, but once I got the Mercedes-Benz EQS SUV, it felt like a brand new driving experience. It's on an entirely different level. Now, here's what I love about my EQS SUV. First of all, from the moment I sit in it, I feel like I'm stepping in a world of luxury. Plus, it's easy charging, and it has heated seats and cooling seats as well. It's an ultimate driving experience. I urge you, go see my friends at Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. They're just 30 minutes from Sacramento. They're right off of I-5. Or, of course, you can always go online at mbofstockton.com.
Sacramento's premier music festival, Country in the Park, is back. 2 big ol' nights, May 17th and 18th at Cal Expo with Brantley Gilbert, Dustin Lynch, Walker Hayes, and more. 2-day GA tickets are on sale now, starting at $85, or upgrade your experience with VIP or pit passes. Country in the Park, May 17th and 18th at Cal Expo. For more information, visit CITPfest.com. Brought to you by Oak Ridge Winery.
The PGA club fitters at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio know that golf should be fun. They also know that players of all abilities will hit the ball farther and straighter, play better golf, shoot lower scores, and have more fun if they get fitted before they purchase golf clubs. Hagen Oaks delivers the same technology and major brands used to fit PGA and LPGA professionals. See how the game can be even more fun. Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Sacramento will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 916-277-8599. That's 916-277-8599. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
The 2024 Honda Civic LX sedan from Elk Grove Honda offers all the safety, reliability, performance, and great gas mileage you've come to expect from Honda for all these years. With anti-lock brakes, tire pressure monitoring system, backup camera, and Honda safety sensing package including collision mitigation braking system, you can see why a sporty, redesigned Civic from Elk Grove Honda gives you a lot for your money. We're Elk Grove Honda in the Elk Grove Auto Mall, Highway 99 at Elk Grove Boulevard.
I gotta get an Elk Grove Honda.
It's Carmichael there with a Fire Wings announcement. The Floor and Road location now serves pizza, and oh my goodness, it's so good. Don't forget the Wings Day Wednesday lineup, 88-cent wings every Wednesday. You got